Hello again, folks. This is Christian Haunton, and I'm here with a follow-up video on the Traveler's Notebook video that I did about 4 months or so ago. This is the notebook that I had set up in that video, and I mentioned at the end that I would probably replace a lot of the components of it because there was almost nothing that I was perfectly happy with. And I finally gotten around to doing that, and I thought I'd go over the changes briefly, let you guys know, and see what sorts of updates I've made. Now, in the video, I actually said that I might end up changing everything, and that's not true. If you come in here, you remember that this little notebook, I was a little unhappy with how plain it was on the inside. So what I did was just took some Tim Holtz Distress Stain and treated that, and then other than that, that is the only thing that I actually kept the same. I just went ahead and replaced absolutely everything else. So this little notebook now finds its way into its new home here in my updated Traveler's Notebook, which I'll go over with you. More or less, the components are the same. Just to refresh, you can obviously go back and look at the last video, but just to refresh, I had a wraparound envelope with some pockets front and back. I had a folder, 6-pocket folder, and it was made out of a kind of a poster board type stuff. And then I had a map of New England that I had included in the back here as its own fold-out insert. And I mentioned at the time, the map's just too thick and it's not practical. We live in a world where paper maps are not that much of a priority, and certainly not in a situation like this where I'm trying to save some space. So that's gone entirely. I also mentioned at the time I was a little unhappy with how this this folder turned out. I wanted to do it with a thinner material, so that's been replaced with just some regular old stock from a legal-sized folder, file folder, and then again some Distress Stain to add to the style of the book. The front wraparound cover has been reproduced here. Same thing, added Distress Stain to color it a bit, and the last one said Lovecraft Country on the front. This one doesn't say anything yet. That's because I'm not moving to Lovecraft Country after all, at least not for a year or two now. Some plans got changed, and so the Lovecraft Country journal is going to have to become some other kind of journal. Probably just a myth appropriation journal that I use for this YouTube channel. So that's been reproduced pretty much exactly the same. I haven't put Velcro in yet because I'm trying to decide if that's really necessary, since it does add a little bit of thickness. And then the other thing I've got in here is a Midori brand insert, a graph paper journal. And it also has a little Midori brand tab on it, one of the brass clip-on tabs. And the significance of putting that in here, or I guess of showing you that, is that if you'll recall the last video, I made this notebook to be oversized from the Midori size. This took regular 8.5 by 11 United States paper, fold it in half, and then trim it to size. So that made it just a little bit taller than an actual Traveler's Notebook in the size that Midori makes. I went ahead and just gave in and cut it down to the Midori size. And the reason I did that was just so that I could use inserts that are branded at that size. I could use inserts that come from Etsy producers and so forth that are set up at that size without them flopping around in here any more than necessary. The elastic is the same. I use a total of 4 elastics, so I have one that goes all the way around in a big O, one that goes back and forth, like the ones in a Midori. So there's 2 elastics to produce 4 bands that you can hang things on. And then in terms of the exterior, that was one of the main things that I complained about last time, was I wasn't real happy with this leather that I got. It's very shiny, almost like a patent leather, and it just doesn't have much of the character that I associate with a Traveler's Notebook. So I was looking for something with a natural finish, but I wanted to keep this oxblood color. So what I ended up doing was just buying some regular natural colored leather at Tandy Leather, and then staining it with oxblood leather dye until I got the color that I wanted. I'm very happy with the color. I'm a little sad with my choice in terms of the thickness. I should have gone one thickness less than what I have. This, to give you a sense, here's a Sharpie. I can kind of, like, it's almost a hard cover the way it's set up now. I figure with use that'll probably wear in quite a bit. I think I picked the middle of 3 thicknesses of leather, and I should have just picked the thinnest, and it would have been just fine. By the way, just to be clear what happened here, if I take a piece of this natural leather, the same cut, the same piece of leather that I took this cover from, unstained, that's the perfect suppleness. It's very reasonable. It's firm, sturdy, but soft and pliable at the same time. It was adding all these layers of dye that really hardened it up, almost like getting leather wet, you know, and letting it harden that way. So this is basically a hardened leather cover, which is fine. I'll keep it indefinitely. I'm certainly happy with it. And then for the front, you may recall on my last one, I had a little owl bead that I had set up. It's actually 3 beads, an owl bead and then a cylinder bead inside that and a smaller cylinder bead inside that, so that it doesn't slide around and it fits real nicely. And I think I literally said in the video that this little bead is probably the only thing that's going to stay the same when I update the journal. Well, that didn't happen to be the case. I decided I wanted something custom. So I made a bead for the front out of precious metal clay. This is a bronze precious metal clay, which is a little hard to work with. It's hard to work with as a medium, but then you also need to kiln fire it. You can't just fire it with a blowtorch like you can with silver and gold precious metal clays, just because the heat required is too high. So I had this done through a local bead shop. I bought the clay, I made the bead, and I brought it to them for firing. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's a symbol called the Elder Sign that H.P. Lovecraft drew in the margins of one of his letters and mentioned in a couple of his stories. And I like that for the idea of this being a Lovecraft journal, which obviously it originally was supposed to be. And it'll still have Lovecraftian overtones and undertones to it, so I don't see a problem with keeping that on there. It's definitely, I don't know how close I'll get before I lose focus here, but it's definitely chunky. It looks crude, but that's okay for what I was doing here. If I'd wanted to do something with detail, I couldn't have. I don't have the skill, or I don't have the tools, or whatever it requires, but I could only do a real rough bead. But it worked out fine. I managed to get a hole through it by making the whole bead on one of those really thin birthday candles that you get, like the real long 12-inch taper candles. I made it on that and then melted the wax out in the oven so that it had a hollow cylinder in the middle so that I could string it on here. And I'm real happy with it. It slides enough that it's not a problem, but it doesn't slide around when you're just using the journal. So anyway, this is my newest. I'm pretty happy with it. I could see things that conceivably I'd like to change, but nothing that needs changing in the immediate future. So I'm going to hopefully roll this out for a few road trips and things like that that I do for this channel. Hopefully I'll get back to adding some content to this channel in the future, and this little guy will join me for the adventure. By the way, if you can think of some better symbol for myth appropriation for this channel, where I'm dealing with myth and material culture and the supernatural and things like that, let me know, and maybe I'll switch this out with something even more clever. But this leaves me, as you might be able to guess, with a superfluous traveler's notebook. I don't need this traveler's notebook anymore. And, you know, I could keep it around for keeping track of past iterations, but there's no need for me to clutter up my place when there's probably somebody who would enjoy this just the way it is. So this is going to be a giveaway. I'm going to take out some stuff. I'm going to take out my map, because I may want to do something with my map. But I'll go ahead and leave in the folder. It's kind of crummy. I don't like it, but it'll give it some thickness for sending it through the mail. And I will give this away to anybody. I'll cover shipping anywhere in the world, whoever wants this. If you want it, go ahead. I'll just say leave a comment in the comments below letting me know that you want it. And then I'll say Saturday at midnight. I think it's the 24th today, but this coming Saturday, last Saturday in March, at midnight at the end of the day, I'll go ahead and tally up, randomly choose one of the people who's made a comment. I'll go ahead and say I'll double your chances if you're a subscriber to the channel, just to see if I can build my subscribers a little more. So you get 1 entry if you comment, you get 2 entries if you comment, and you subscribe. And I'll send this out to whoever's lucky enough. I'll give you an email letting you know that you won and getting your mailing address and so forth then. Alright, hopefully, and this is probably sad to any of you who enjoyed this video, but hopefully this is the last video for a while that has traveler's notebooks as the subject. I'd like to get back to the reason for this channel, which is playing around a little bit with myth and belief and material culture and so forth. So hopefully within the next weeks there'll be some new content up here, maybe some road trips, maybe some more discussions of various subjects and so forth. I hope you stick around and enjoy that. And if not, I hope you at least, you know, get a chance to get yourself a notebook out of it. Alright, thanks for coming by, thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe if you are so inclined, and one way or another, hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Thanks.